Day 11 of the blackout. Your neighbor's wife just traded her wedding ring for half a chicken. 3 houses down, someone's breaking into cars looking for spare change that's now worthless anyway. Meanwhile, your house is glowing like an Apple store at midnight, pumping out the smell of seared meat and broadcasting a detailed intelligence report to anyone with eyes, ears, or a working nose. Here's what nobody tells you about collapse. The people who lose everything in the first month aren't the ones without supplies. They're the ones who had supplies but couldn't shut up about it. Your house is a billboard, and right now it's screaming information to anyone who knows how to read it. Every single day, your four walls are hemorrhaging intel about what you have, who is inside, when you're vulnerable, and exactly how prepared you really are. The average suburban home gives away more operational intelligence in 48 hours than a military base does in a month. And here's the part that should terrify you. Most of it is completely preventable. There are 7 ways your house is betraying you right now. 7 specific, fixable information leaks that turn prepared families into targets. And these are just the visible leaks. The ones that leave physical evidence are what actually get families killed. Let's start with the most obvious one, that somehow everyone still gets catastrophically wrong. The beacon. Light discipline. When the grid goes down and your neighborhood plunges into darkness, every candle you light, every flashlight you click on, every battery-powered lantern becomes a signal flare. Your windows turn into television screens broadcasting your preparedness to an audience you definitely don't want watching. The physics here is brutal. Human eyes evolved to detect light sources in darkness. We can spot a candle flame from over a mile away. Even a small LED headlamp bouncing around inside creates enough contrast to be visible from several blocks away. This isn't paranoia, this is photometry. In a true blackout, light discipline becomes more important than food discipline, because you can survive 3 weeks without food, but you might not survive 3 days after advertising you've got power when your neighbors are eating cold beans in the dark. On day 11, that glow isn't just light, it's a dinner invitation to every set of hungry eyes within a mile. The solution isn't living like a cave dweller, it's understanding light control with the same seriousness you'd apply to ammunition storage. Blackout curtains are your first layer, but here's what separates amateurs from professionals. Stage your light sources away from windows entirely. A bright LED 6 feet from a covered window still creates a glow that bleeds through, especially when it's the only light on a dead block. Think in terms of light compartmentalization. Set up your main living area in an interior room with no exterior walls, a bathroom or hallway, and use that as your evening operations center. If you must use rooms with windows, double up your light blocking, use low-output warm lights instead of bright white LEDs, and never walk past a window with a flashlight. That beam cutting across glass is a lighthouse sweep in the dark. And here's the detail that separates people who've actually thought this through. Switch to red filtered lights at night. Red wavelengths don't destroy your night vision. They're harder to spot from distance, and they let you move from lit interior to dark exterior without waiting 20 minutes for your eyes to adjust. Blue and white light from modern LEDs? Worst possible choice. It travels farther and obliterates your natural night vision. Most preppers buy the curtains, feel smart, then get lazy by day 4 and flip on a white LED, marking their house as the only one with power. But at least light is something you can see and control. The next betrayal is invisible, travels on the wind, and can be detected from miles away. The dinner bell. Your chimney and cooking smells are probably doing more damage than your lights. Wood smoke can be detected from miles away depending on wind and atmospheric conditions. Cooking food, especially meat or anything fried, creates an olfactory signature that travels impossibly far when everyone else is eating cold rations or nothing at all. Smell is particulate. You're literally sending molecules of your dinner drifting through the neighborhood. And hungry people sharpen their senses real quick. The moment you fire up a wood stove or start cooking bacon, you're ringing a dinner bell that says this house has food and fuel. Go camping sometime and notice how you can smell someone's campfire from half a mile away before you see it. Now imagine that in a suburban setting where nobody else's chimney is active and everyone's stomach is empty. The problem compounds because smoke creates a visual signature during the day. A plume rising from your chimney when nobody else is smoking marks your home with the subtlety of a spotlight. You become the obvious target, the exception. Managing this requires thinking like someone who doesn't want to be found. For heating, burn seasoned hardwoods hot, not smoldering. Complete combustion means fewer particulates. If you need absolute stealth, embrace cold meals during high-risk periods, or cook only during rain or heavy overcast when atmospheric conditions break up the plume. For cooking, use methods that minimize smell propagation. Pressure cookers trap odors inside until you release the valve. One pot boiling creates less aroma than frying. If you need to cook something fragrant, do it in a basement where smell has barriers before reaching outside air. By day 19, your neighbors aren't just smelling dinner, they're whispering about which house still eats like it's normal life. But your nose might be the least of your problems once the world goes truly silent and every sound becomes a threat. The symphony. We're so conditioned to background noise that we forget how quiet true collapse becomes. When there's no traffic hum, no air conditioners, no distant leaf blowers or planes overhead, sound propagates differently. Your voice carries, doors carry, children playing carries, and generators, you might as well operate an air raid siren. A small portable generator can be heard from a quarter-mile away in silent conditions, telling anyone listening you have fuel, mechanical equipment, and probably refrigeration. It's a complete intelligence package on a silver platter. Even smaller sounds matter: the click of a lock, furniture scraping, a dog barking, music. All of it creates an audio profile that says your house is functioning normally while theirs isn't. But here's what most people miss. Children's laughter is a stability signal. If your kids are outside playing, laughing, acting like the world hasn't ended, you're broadcasting that your household has enough stability and resources that children feel safe. That's information. It suggests you're not desperate, which means you have supplies worth taking, especially when that laughter tells everyone your kids still feel safe enough to play. Controlling noise means changing behavior fundamentally. Conversations in whispers only. Doors get felt pads, hinges get oiled. If you're running a generator, don't run it during high-threat periods, or build a sound enclosure and run it in short intervals. Some sync generator use with natural sound cover, like wind or rain. The harder lesson is about family members who don't understand operational security. Teaching your household to match the ambient sound level isn't cruelty, it's survival discipline. When the world goes quiet, you go quiet with it, or you get visited. Now, pause this video. Actually, pause it. Look at your living room right now. If the power went out tonight, how many lights would you instinctively turn on? How would you cook? How loud is your normal conversation? If you're honest, you're probably already making at least 4 of these mistakes, and we're not even to the worst one yet. The next betrayal is something you do every week that creates a detailed journal of your activities, and most people never think about it until someone's going through it at 3 in the morning with a headlamp. The diary. Trash, in normal times, you put in bins and someone takes it away. In collapse, that system stops, and your waste becomes a detailed record of your consumption. Empty food packaging means you're eating when others aren't. Medical waste means you have first aid supplies. Broken equipment means you're using power tools. Even your trash volume compared to neighbors broadcasts that you're living differently. And here's what gets people killed. If you're burning or burying trash, you're creating visual and olfactory signatures again, plus establishing patterns observers can track. But the truly disturbing scenario nobody wants to think about: desperate people will go through your trash. Imagine this. It's day 14. A scavenger finds your pile and discovers empty tuna cans with recent dates, discarded antibiotic packaging, a broken LED headlamp, and vacuum-sealed Mylar scraps. He now knows you have shelf-stable protein, medical supplies, lighting redundancy, and long-term food storage. He knows you're prepared, which means you're worth targeting. He notes your address, watches your light patterns for 2 days, and comes back on day 17 with friends. Your trash just wrote his operational plan. This isn't theoretical. In Argentina's 2001 collapse, trash became reconnaissance material. People mapped neighborhoods by garbage content, identifying which households still had resources. After Katrina, similar patterns emerged. Your trash is a written confession of everything you're doing inside those walls. Every time you throw something away, you're gambling that no one will read your diary at 3 a.m. and decide your family has more than they do. The approach is simple. Reduce waste by choosing minimal packaging and reusing everything. What waste you create needs invisible management. Bury organic waste deep and scattered. Burn combustibles hot and completely during low visibility times. Non-burnable waste is the hardest because it accumulates. Some preppers pre-plan distant cache sites for disposal, but that requires risky movement.
Your trash is a journal written in packaging. In an information-scarce environment, people read it like a novel, and they note the address. But even if you master waste management, you're still leaving evidence every time you step outside, writing a map in the ground you can't erase. The map. Foot traffic and physical movement evidence tells a story to anyone with basic observation skills. Fresh paths through snow, mud, or grass show current occupation. Footprints to specific areas like gardens or sheds tell observers exactly where resources are located. Worn paths indicate regular travel routes. Predictable patterns mean ambush opportunities for anyone thinking tactically. Vehicle tracks when everyone else's are gone advertise you have working transportation and fuel, which might be more valuable than food by week 3. Imagine you've done everything else right. Light discipline mastered, cooking stealthily, family silent, trash buried. But by day 10, there's a visible trail. By day 15, someone's noticed. By day 20, they've watched long enough to know your pattern. You refuel at dawn, which means that's when you're outside, distracted, and predictable. Neighbors mark the time you're outside watering and plan their approach for when your hands are full and your eyes are on the soil instead of the perimeter. The map you wore into the ground just became an ambush site. Your feet wrote the invitation. Managing movement signatures means thinking about every outside trip as a tactical problem. Vary routes so you don't create trails. Minimize unnecessary movement during high-risk periods. Everything you need should be staged inside or in concealed locations that don't require daily visible access. Your garden is both a resource and massive liability. It requires regular visible attention and broadcast food production. Some preppers let front yards go to weeds while maintaining hidden gardens in backyards where activity isn't visible from the street. Ground sign is readable data. Every footprint is a word. Every path is a sentence. Don't write a book. And speaking of books, let's talk about what your vehicle is saying. The business card. A car parked when nobody else's vehicles move says you have fuel. But it's not just presence or absence, it's the details. License plates, visible contents, condition, bumper stickers, roof racks, modifications, even tire dust patterns all contribute to a profile of who you are and what you have. A truck with a camper shell and mud suggests capability and gear. A minivan with family stickers suggests children and possibly a softer target. An expensive SUV suggests wealth and high-value supplies. You think you're parking your car, but you're displaying a business card listing your threat level and resource inventory. The profiling goes deeper. A Prius suggests someone environmentally conscious, probably urban, possibly less tactical. A lifted pickup suggests tools, weapons, defensive mindset. Even cleanliness matters. A meticulously clean car suggests surplus time and resources. A vehicle covered in matching environmental dust suggests it hasn't moved recently. Fresh tire tracks and debris, you're mobile with fuel. The solution is concealment and misdirection. Garage vehicles stay inside, always. No garage? Use covers that obscure details and suggest abandonment. Some stage a broken vehicle as misdirection while hiding their working one elsewhere. Remove all stickers, decals, and identifiers. Keep interiors empty of visible supplies. A visible case of water in your back seat is actionable intelligence. Your vehicle shouldn't be a billboard. It should be a blank page. Which brings us to the final and most ironic betrayal, the one that catches even experienced preppers because it seems so counterintuitive. The flag. Your security measures themselves advertise you have something worth protecting. Visible cameras, heavy locks, reinforced doors, bars, motion lights, warning signs, all tell observers you're security conscious, which implies you have valuables worth securing. This is the prepper's paradox. Visible fortification is an advertisement. A fortress draws attention and curiosity. It suggests the occupants are prepared, meaning they have gear, food, medicine, weapons. In collapse, that's exactly the wrong message. You don't want to look like the hardest target. You want to look like there's nothing there worth the effort. You need real security, but you can't let it be the first thing people notice. The art is subtle security that doesn't announce itself. Reinforced frames and quality locks not visible from outside. Security film instead of bars. Small hidden cameras instead of obvious ones with blinking lights. Interior fortification that can't be assessed externally. Think about two houses on the same block. House 1 has cameras on every corner, bars on windows, reinforced doors, motion lights, and a protected by Smith & Wesson sign. House 2 looks run down, overgrown lawn, maybe a broken window covered with cardboard inside, giving the impression someone already hit it or there's nothing worth taking. Which do you investigate if you're desperate? The fortress is a challenge and a promise. It promises whatever's inside is worth defending aggressively. The rundown house promises nothing, so it gets ignored. Be the house that isn't worth the cognitive effort to evaluate, the one desperate eyes slide right past while hunting for the fortress that promised them supplies. Gray man principles apply to homes as much as individuals. Don't be the most fortified house. Don't be the obvious target. Be forgettable. Some people make homes look abandoned or already looted by staging minor damage or creating disorder without compromising real security. Managing perception, you want functional security that isn't readable from the street. Underneath all 7 leaks is one principle. In collapse, you're defending against information collection. Every person passing your house is potentially doing reconnaissance, noting who has lights, who's cooking, who's making noise, who's throwing away packaging, whose property shows activity, whose vehicles work, whose homes look worth approaching. You're being observed constantly, and the information your house gives away determines whether you remain an uninteresting part of the landscape or become a target. The mindset shift is profound. Stop thinking of your home as your castle. Think of it as your hide site. Castles are visible and project power. Hide sites are concealed and designed to avoid detection. In true collapse, the castle approach gets you surrounded. The hide site approach gets you ignored. And being ignored is survival. This means rehearsing light discipline until automatic, managing smoke and smell as carefully as water supply, treating noise as a security breach, handling waste like classified material, erasing movement signatures, concealing vehicles, and making security invisible. None of this is theoretical. History is brutally consistent. During the siege of Sarajevo, homes showing light drew sniper fire. People learned to live in darkness because a candle could kill you. During the 900-day siege of Leningrad, smoke from chimneys marked you as having fuel. Survivors mastered invisibility. During the Great Depression, families that looked well-fed drew resentment and theft.
In every collapse, the pattern repeats. Visibility equals vulnerability. People who broadcast preparedness rarely keep it. People who master appearing to have nothing while being quietly self-sufficient make it through intact.